Hi, and welcome back for another Carnival 24 interview. In our last interview, we spoke with Alicia Nicholls, an international trade specialist based in Barbados and the owner of the popular blog Caribbean Trade Law. In that interview, we talked about regional and international trade in the Caribbean, the World Trade Organization, and how the Caribbean diaspora can participate in trade and exports in the Caribbean. The growth of regional trade within the Caribbean is a critical part of the move towards creating a closer and more united Caribbean region. But this isn't the only area that has room for improvement. In a study by the United Nations Department of Economic and Social Affairs, as of 2020, there were over 9 million migrants from the Caribbean living outside of the region. And in an article written by the World Bank, they say that 90% of the Caribbean diaspora wants to have greater engagement with the region, and this represents a significant untapped potential for economic development. One of the movements that's attempting to improve this connection amongst the global Caribbean community is the International Caribbean Day, which is a day that Caribbeans both within and outside of the region can celebrate their connection to the Caribbean and their individual countries. So in order to discuss this and find out more, we invited Hamilton Daley, who's a champion of the movement, so that we can find out what the Caribbean Day is, when it takes place each year, and most importantly, why we should all support it. We also wanted to tell you about it so that we can help spread the word, because we think that this is a great movement that we should all support. So keep watching, remember to like, share and subscribe, and we hope you enjoy the second part of our interview with Hamilton Daley. So do you think that having an International Caribbean Day celebrated around the world, and that level of unity that you're talking about, do you think that would affect the way that the Caribbean is seen on an international level as well?
In a positive way, yes. I think it would show a great strength on a global scale that the Caribbean represents the best parts of itself. So that's the starting point, that this is identity, where you're from, it's Caribbean, and then you can drill down into detail. But to a Caribbean Day, which means that every Caribbean business across the world gets a leg up on that day. They get an opportunity to say, I've got a sale on, or I've got specials on. It's just a marketed opportunity for any sort of industrious, commercially minded person to spot and say, I've got an vested interest in this.
Absolutely.
And we only need to look at the Irish to see how what they can do in a day.
Absolutely.
With St. Patrick's Day.
So that actually moves me on very, very well to my next question. So what would you say are some of the social, material, and even fiscal benefits of a global event like this? I mean, obviously, depending on who you're speaking to, people at the ground level, grassroots level, would be more probably interested in what the social benefits are, being able to bring people together under one, united message, one united cause. But what would you say are some of the material and fiscal benefits that maybe businesses and organizations and maybe even governments might see as beneficial with a day like this?
Yeah, we could choose that. I could choose any day, because one of the things we had to do with introducing Caribbean Day is do a lot of sort of market research about it, and where would the pushback be if we started to push this one day? And there was so many areas of potential pushback on it. Also, the selling points and the fiscal benefits, that you have a concentration of demand for Caribbean goods and services. What a difference a day makes. Well, you look at Christmas, that's about 400 billion global. You look at Valentine's Day, I think that's about 40 billion global. Days like the Black Friday, that what they can do with one day. So there's lots of days, Mother's Day, Father's Day, it's something that we all looked at to say, well, will this have an impact economically? Where does the Caribbean benefit if you concentrate global interests in the Caribbean for one day a year? And that has a continual effect. If families were together for one day a year, just like they did for Christmas. They had a reason now to gather one day a year. That it doesn't stop there. It carries on. The conversations continue throughout the year. You look forward to the next Caribbean Day when you're going to meet up again.
Right. Okay, so there may be some people out there right now who might be saying and looking at this and saying, you know, CARICOM, you know, that's been put together to create that regional integration. What would you say to some of those people who might say that CARICOM already serves the purpose of connecting countries within the Caribbean already?
Yeah, I'd agree with them. The CARICOM serves the purpose to connecting countries. In Caribbean Day, we're connecting people. And the remit of CARICOM is countries. And we've spoken to CARICOM for a good many years now. And they are a talk shop for politicians. If we want to do something, we've got to do it ourselves. And if it's about people and it's about our heritage and something that CARICOM can't give us heritage, we've got to recognize we have heritage. And then we've got to say, like someone who's found sort of antiques in their property and not known the value of it. So an antique dealer comes along and says, you know, I'll give you a bottom line figure, and you think, well, wow, it was just rubbish. You know, I'll take that. But the antique dealer is a specialist in knowing the difference between what you don't know and what he knows, and then he makes a profit on that basis. So Caribbean Day is about recognizing we have a heritage, a very rich heritage, and we've got to be able to capitalize on that, take the opportunity, make it into an economic opportunity across commerce for Caribbean businesses.
Absolutely. So there's social and fiscal benefits all around. So for my next question, I have a quote from USA Today to preface the question. So I'll quickly read it to you. USA Today says, the British government paid £20 million, the equivalent of £17 billion today, to compensate slave owners for the lost capital associated with freeing slaves. This payout was a massive 40% of the government's budget and required many bonds to slave owners to effectuate the law. These obligations to slave owners and institutions are the debts that were paid off by the UK government only in 2015. Now, I heard about that last year, and I was gobsmacked. I was shocked. So the question is, do you think that the International Caribbean Day would be helpful in ensuring that facts like this are highlighted and remain a part of the conversation on things like racism and the long-term effect of the colonial slave trade on the world today?
Caribbean Day serves the purpose to unite, and it makes us a group, not necessarily based on race. It means that we have allies who are Caribbean people who are not necessarily from African origin, but are still sympathetic to the cause of African Caribbean people. And if we unite, and it makes us stronger to have a voice and not say, well, we're just talking for this group within the Caribbean. It's a stronger voice. It's a stronger voice when everybody can sense that there's an injustice with my brother here. Can we fix this? Rather than to say we're separating ourselves and pushing back on something like that.
Right. Okay. So can you tell us maybe some of the things that you may have seen? Maybe there have been things in the news or things that you've seen yourself that maybe serve as signs that you've encountered that a Caribbean Day like this is necessary?
Why is it necessary? Well, that's an interesting question, Gavi. Is Caribbean Day necessary? Well, is Christmas necessary? Valentine's Day necessary? Mother's Day necessary? Any day that is it necessary? No, nothing. We could do without any of the days. What it does, and it serves a purpose to show appreciation, to show thanks, to bond, to make us stronger, and we're human beings, so we search for that feeling of being a part of a family. So Caribbean Day has many ways that it will impact and affect in a positive way the identity of people, how they opportunities for income and enterprise. So there's lots of positive on that. I don't know if that specifically answered the question. Oh, but
no, that's succinct.
Oh.
So I suppose the next question I've got then are, what do you think? You mentioned some of them earlier, but I suppose what I'd like you to maybe go into a little bit more is, what do you think are some of the hurdles that have served perhaps as obstacles that have made it difficult for Caribbean people to come together under a shared regional identity? What would you say some of those hurdles may have been? Language is one of them, definitely.
Language, and also some of it was by design, probably there was some design in the feature that divided. We are better off, we're managed better if we're not united. So it was almost part of the design in the independence structure that, some people would be, or countries might be favored and others might be criticized, or others kept out in the cold, to try to fester this this animosity between countries. It's for us, our generation, because we have to take some responsibility of climbing up the ladder as well. Of all the benefits that we got to get here, then it becomes our turn to say, okay, how do we step up the ladder? And part of this is that we're sufficiently well now exposed to the opportunity to learn, to say, we're going to do things differently and it's going to be better. And that's what that's what Caribbean Day is looking at, to say, you don't know that expression, under new management. Well, we've had a day of the 1st of August. Caribbean Day did not come up with the idea, well, probably the best way to look at this is not to go backwards. Probably we need to look forward, and what are the opportunities that we can do, having respect for the day, and the date is important. This is why we hold on to the date, but we definitely don't hold on to a name that was proclaimed overseas for us to celebrate. And there's history to that as well that I could easily go into.
Okay, so I couldn't let you get by without asking you this question. How do you think Brexit has impacted the Caribbean as a region?
Yeah, Brexit, I've got to recap that. Brexit is basically Britain leaving the European Union. And you mentioned Guadeloupe. Guadeloupe is part of France. So the Brexit won't affect all of the Caribbean, but Brexit might affect ties that Britain would have had with certain of its former colonies, the English-speaking colonies. But even that, there was a time when it seemed that Britain in the EU was sort of couldn't give any special treatment to its former colonies because it was part of the EU. So now that Britain is more keen on finding new trading partners, Brexit might not be a bad thing for the Caribbean. They say one man's salt is another man's sugar, sort of thing. So it might not necessarily mean a bad thing for us. I mean, it's certainly doesn't mean we've lost anything. The Britons, they might have lost something, but if that's their decision, that's the decision they've made.
We hope you enjoyed the second part of our interview with Hamilton Daley. And if you want to see the rest of the interview where we talk about the International Caribbean Day, then leave a like and a comment saying hell yeah and more please, and we'll continue to keep posting these videos in 20-minute chunks so that we can get it out there as much as possible. And don't forget, remember to share this video with people that you think would be interested and let them know, because we believe the International Caribbean Day is something we should all support. This is 𝗗𝗲𝐃𝐲𝐹𝐶, and you have been watching another Carnival 24 interview.